Welcome to the Python audiobook series. In this chapter, we will talk about Python data types and variables. What are variables? Imagine you're working on a project, calculating the total cost of items in a shopping cart, or keeping track of your friends' ages. In Python, and in most programming languages, we need a way to store and manage this kind of information. This is where variables come into play. A variable is like a labeled box where you can store data. You can think of it as a name you assign to a particular value. For example, if you want to store your age, you might create a variable called age and put your age, say 25, inside that box. When you refer to age, Python will know you're talking about the number 25. Data types, the nature of the data. But what exactly can you store in these variables? Python is a versatile language, and it allows you to store different types of data in variables. These different kinds of data are known as data types. Here are some of the most common data types in Python. Integers. These are whole numbers without any decimal point. For example, 10, -3, and 2024 are all integers. You might use an integer to store a person's age or the number of items in a shopping cart. Floats. These are numbers that have a decimal point. For example, 3.14, -0.001, and 2.5 are floats. Floats are useful when you need to deal with fractions or perform precise calculations, such as calculating the price of something that includes cents. Strings. Strings are sequences of characters, like words or sentences. In Python, you represent strings by putting quotes around them. For example, hello world is a string. Strings are great for storing text-based information, like a person's name or an email address. Booleans. Booleans are a special data type that can only have one of two values, true or false. You might use a Boolean to answer a yes or no question, like whether a user is logged in or if an item is in stock. Bringing it all together. Now let's see how variables and data types work together. Suppose you want to keep track of a person's name, age, and whether they have a driver's license. You might create three variables. Name for their name, which would be a string, like Alice. Age for their age, which would be an integer, like 30. Has underscore license for whether they have a driver's license, which would be a Boolean, either true or false. In Python, you could imagine your code looking like this. The variable name stores the string Alice. The variable age stores the integer 30. The variable has underscore license stores the Boolean true. Once these variables are set up, you can use them throughout your program. For example, you could use the age variable to check if someone is old enough to drive, or the name variable to personalize a greeting. Why are data types important? Data types are important because they tell Python how to interpret the data in each variable. For instance, you can't perform mathematical operations on a string like hello, but you can with an integer or a float. Similarly, the operations you can perform on a string, like combining two strings together, are different from what you can do with numbers. Understanding data types and variables is your first step in learning how to program in Python. By storing and manipulating different types of data, you can create programs that do everything from simple calculations to complex data processing. Keep this concept in mind as you continue your journey, and you'll find that it's the foundation for everything else you'll learn in Python. So remember, a variable is like a box where you can store information, and the type of data inside the box determines what you can do with it. Whether you're dealing with numbers, text, or simple yes or no values, variables and data types are your tools for managing and using that information in your Python programs. Now that you know what variables are, you need to watch this video.